Welcome back to Scrapper's Corner, our bi-weekly podcast recorded right here in the Innovation Collaboratory in Saguaro Hall, room 127 at the illustrious College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at the University of Arizona. With me, as always, is Emre Toker.
Happy to be here.
And we're getting ready to have one of our guests talk to us about a very cool idea. But I'm wondering, Emre, what do you think about robots?
I like them in general, as long as they don't attack me.
Yeah, have you ever thought about robots in the household and doing different things?
Like the Jetsons?
Like the Jetsons, right. Now you're showing your age once again. Back when we were predicting computers and such, you were still just a little boy. But yeah, the Jetsons, remember they had the robotic vacuum cleaner running around and such.
Yep.
We've fast forwarded to the 21st century, and I know at our house we have
You do have one of those?
We do have a robotic vacuum cleaner that's like a disc thing that zips around the floor and sucks up cords, socks, dog tails, everything but the dust bunnies. So we are starting to find innovative ideas permeating all parts of our life, including our home, and I think that this is a nice segue into our guest today. Absolutely. Who is going to talk a little bit about perhaps putting this robotic vacuum cleaner to a more productive use in a more industrial context, I think. So why don't you introduce our next guest?
Sure. So our guest is Amanda, one of my students in the independent study course, a very impressive young lady who's with us now. So Amanda, let's start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself first.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. So I'm Amanda. I'm a master's student here at the school, getting my master's in agricultural education. I work full-time. I'm actually a greenhouse manager at Syngenta.
Very good.
Yeah, so Amanda, you probably heard us talking just a bit as we were doing the intro and talking about the ongoing introduction of robotics into our life, and we were using the vacuum cleaner. What is it? The Roomba. I think I said it right the first time. The Roomba. And I know that the idea that you're going to talk to us about is somewhat related to that. So can you tell us a little bit about the idea that you've been cooking up for a while now?
Yeah, so my idea is kind of like an adaptation of the Roomba. It's the automatic pressure washer. It'd kind of be like autonomous, the same as the Roomba, and it would kind of navigate itself through a greenhouse and, algae off the floor.
And how did you come up with this idea, Amanda?
So when I was an undergraduate student at UC Davis, one of my jobs was to pressure wash greenhouses. So I would spend probably 12 hours a week in a hot, sticky, smelly greenhouse just washing the floors.
Did you enjoy that?
It was kind of horrible. It was probably my least favorite part of the job. It was a lot of grunt work.
Now, give us a sense. So the greenhouse has... there's limited space, I assume, between the floor and the lowest level of the, whatever they call those things, the rows?
Yeah, so different greenhouses have different benches. Some of them are really low, so they can be under a foot. Some are a little bit taller, so you have like a 3-foot space, but you're kind of like maneuvering yourself into tight spaces with this really clunky, huge gas.
So how'd you
washer, and it's really smelly in there too.
How'd you get under those spaces yourself manually? Did you crawl under them? Did you crawl under them?
No, you kind of just bent over and crouched and tried to just get into the spaces as best you could. But sometimes it's just you couldn't reach every spot you wanted to get.
You can tell by the nature of Emre's question that manual labor on the farm has not been a big part of his life for a long time, right? He's like, the humanity, you had to bend over. But one of the things that you had said, Amanda, earlier that caught my attention is that it was really kind of a stinky job, right? Both figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Like I think of wet, mildewy, kind of that soil smell that in some ways people enjoy, but it's probably also an odor you don't want to carry with you. Did you have remnants of that job follow you around as a student?
I definitely did. I always had class after work, and I really hope I didn't have to pressure wash because it would shoot back at me. So I would be covered in algae. I would kind of smell like gasoline at the same time. And then I would awkwardly sit in class hoping that nobody could smell the greenhouse on me, but I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I had a similar experience, although it was related to chopping onions at a hot dog stand, where when I was an undergrad in my summer job, I picked that up one year to make extra money, and 48 hours a day, or not a day, no, 48 hours a week, I would chop onions, and you absorb that smell, and your hands not only smell like onions, but after a while they turn yellow and take on almost like a body odor smell. So I used to...
Still with you, Mars.
So did you do what I would do, Amanda? Like walk in and sit down in class and start looking around you, like giving a disgusted look, like who smells like that? So they didn't think it was you?
I kind of sat next to a friend all the time, but they always kind of already knew that if I was at work, they're like, "Oh, you're pressure washing today." I was like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
people around me kind of knew that I had a not so pleasant job.
Well, you're kinder than I am. I tried to pawn it off on somebody else, but it's interesting though, because as I hear you talk, it doesn't sound like your idea is necessarily to make cleaning more effective, but rather make the cleaning process easier on those that are maintaining the greenhouse. Is that true?
Correct. So there's a lot of other things that go along with greenhouse maintenance, and there's a better use of your time doing other things rather than pressure washing the floor. Like, yes, it needs to be done for sanitation and also slip hazards, but there's so many other things that are kind of more important that needs to get done. So it's more about having more time allocated to do more important tasks.
Amanda, I really like this. You used to do this yourself manually. You really didn't enjoy doing it. You didn't want anybody else to do this, so you came up with an idea to kind of automate this thing. So tell us where you are with the idea right now.
Yeah, so I did a little research to see if there's even a product on the market that kind of was already doing what I wanted to do. I didn't find anything specifically for a greenhouse, but I bumped into this company online that has a similar product, but they made a pressure washer for ship holds. So it attaches to a side of the ship and it blasts off like mussels and the barnacles that attach to it. And I also thought of the idea of a Roomba because it's so flat and short on the ground. If I could combine the two, it would be a perfect idea for having an automatic greenhouse pressure washer.
And so where are you at in the process now? Are you still pursuing this, or is it just something that is in the back of your mind, like that would be cool, and then you're waiting for that moment where someone else does it, and then you're going to claim, I had that idea first?
I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I have absolutely no idea how to go about building it. I think it's a great idea. I don't think there's any part of it that anyone else couldn't do. Like, I feel like the technology is already out there to do it. It's just finding somebody who could work with me to make it happen.
And where is that team building, which is such a key component of making ideas become reality? Where are you at in the team building stage?
Right, so I've reached out to some mechanical engineering clubs at the school. I got some feedback. I haven't really had a solid response that somebody wants to work with me, but I'm just kind of waiting to see if anybody kind of likes the idea and just has a genuine interest of just trying to figure something out.
I'm curious about your idea, and if you would evaluate it on a scale of creativity. So a lot of times students in particular, but many of us are paralyzed by the idea that we're not creative or our ideas are not unique enough. But it's not always the most creative or the most unique idea that is the most powerful idea. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not creative at all and 10 being really creative, where would you rate your idea on that scale, and briefly why?
That's kind of a difficult question. I think it'd be between like a 3 or a 4 because there's already similar products out there. So there's a ship pressure washer, there's a packing and cargo container pressure washer, there's a Roomba. Like there's already aspects of my idea already created. It's just taking bits and pieces of those other ideas and making something specifically for a market that has a need.
Yeah, I like that answer, not only because it's an honest and transparent answer, but it underscores something that I know Emery and I talk a lot about, both amongst ourselves and with those that we try to serve through our work, is that it may not necessarily be the idea that's the creative component, but it's the approach you take to acting on that idea that can be highly creative. So I appreciate your perspective.
Absolutely, and yes, it is true that there are similar products out there, but the missing link was someone with your personal experiences and your personal knowledge about the application. So that's critical, and I think that's going to help you in terms of putting a team together.
Yeah. So Amanda, I have a very important question for you. What scares you more, robots or zombies?
Zombies, definitely zombies.
Huh.
And what's the worst ice cream flavor that you can think of or have seen so far?
Garlic ice cream.
Oh, okay.
That's a real thing?
Yeah, so I work in Gilroy, California, and it's the garlic capital of the world. And we have the Gilroy Garlic Festival every summer, and their claim to fame is garlic ice cream. It is awful.
So you live in the garlic capital of the world and you are worried about smelling like a greenhouse?
Yes.
Wow.
Do they grow garlic in greenhouses where you could get the best of all worlds? Garlic smell plus algae smell?
Unfortunately, they do not grow garlic in greenhouses. Well, I guess it would be unfortunate. It's good that they don't. So everything's grown up in a field.
Maybe the two smells would cancel each other out. I don't know.
So one last question. Tell us the name of your undergraduate mascot, because I don't believe it was Wilbur or Wilma.
Oh, so it was the Aggies. So we had like a horse named Gunrock.
Denrock?
Gunrock.
Oh, Gunrock.
Gunrock? Gunrack? No, I don't know.
That sounds, wow, that sounds oddly Scandinavian for some reason, like a Viking horse. Gunrock.
Gunrock.
Yeah. Well,
The blue horde.
but that's better than the school down the road that were the banana slugs, right?
Yeah, Santa Cruz, like.
Yeah. You don't want to be a proud banana slug. But with that said, Emery, any other questions for Amanda? Because I know
you're doing great, Amanda. I hope that you do find a team and you do move this idea forward as much as you possibly can.
And Amanda, thank you for joining us all the way from California. The Scrapper's Corner stretches wide and far. So thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure to go innovate, okay?
Will do.
Okay. So this concludes this edition of the Scrapper's Corner podcast series. Emery, it's almost been a pleasure.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, and until the next time, be sure you go innovate.